We'll get started here in just a minute. Just always
Well,
everybody wrapping up their last meeting to get joined here, but appreciate you all for being here. Get started in just a minute.
Hey, Breck, do you ever do any seminars with any groups of pharmacists?
I do.
I'd love to do one on either defined benefit plans or some concepts as far as adding different types of permanent, like I talked about before, of corporate owned insurance for owners. They can do it either in a defined benefit plan or the different types of scenarios. Sometimes people want tax deductions, sometimes they don't. I don't know if you've ever heard of a 412 plan.
I have heard of it. I'm not real familiar, but
So I could design those things where basically the pharmacist can discriminate on who gets to participate in it, unlike a traditional qualified plan where you have to everyone has to participate equally in a defined benefit plan. Some of those types of plans, like executive bonus plans, you could only make it for the executives that work for that particular
right.
organization.
And how much lead time do you need to work with somebody who's selling the business?
Depends on, in a perfect scenario, 5 years.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's a perfect scenario, but it really depends on what they're trying to accumulate and how much they want to put into it. Because the whole concept is how much money can you pull out of the business legally and keep it, as opposed to when a business is actually sold, people forget that you have to pay capital gains tax on that company.
Yep.
And they could lose a lot of the worth that they think that they're going to get during their retirement because they, oh, I forgot I have to pay all that tax. But if you could
Yeah.
do it in ways where you could either not pay tax at all, I think it's can help out a lot.
Yeah, that the reason I ask, if obviously if they're working on it ahead of time, but I get notification, um, get updates from my PSAO partners of store closures, meaning that they're, like we had 3 that sold to Walgreens last week, for instance. So
Well, if they're selling it quickly, they still need to figure out their spin down process. I don't know if I've ever talked to you about that, but 90% of retirement planning is how you're going to spend your money.
yeah,
And if you don't spend it the right way, then you lose it, because of the reverse of dollar cost averaging is not good when you're on the spin down side.
yep,
And if we could prevent people from running out of money during the years that they're living their life, I think that's a home run. So
yeah,
even if they're close to the end, there are some solutions that they've never thought about that I could bring to the table.
yeah. We had 10 cells just last week, 28
That's a lot.
through the 30th, just in the independent pharmacies. That's why I don't get a lot of lead time on it, but
How fast
Well,
is the
if you ask any of these people, if you know them, particularly, what's your spin down strategy, and if they don't have one, they need to have a conversation, because
yeah,
that's essential.
yeah. Richard,
how
what was your?
fast is how fast are the independent pharmacies going away?
Too
Are there more
fast for.
are there more coming in? Are there more coming onto the or
Oh,
no?
absolutely. Now you always have new ones opening up too. It used to ebb and flow so that it would remain right around the 20,000, 21,000 independent mark. And independent meaning they could have multiple locations, right? The group that sold to Walgreens last week were 3 locations that they sold. And don't don't confuse that the Walgreens is taking the actual location. They're only buying the files. They're buying the patient files is all that they're doing. Um, but yeah, there it used to ebb and flow where they would always hang around. You know, if 10 people sold, 10 more new ones would pop up, and it's not the same anymore. So we're constantly sliding and losing more and more independents. They're leaving these little pharmacy deserts in rural communities, because now that town's pharmacy is closed, and so somebody's going to have to go to the next town over. So they may have a 40 mile drive, or an hour to get to the next closest town. Hi, Patrick. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry I was a bit late. Phil, you're fascinating. Now, were you saying spin down or spend down?
Spin down. Like, you have what happens is a lot of people, they get to the point when they want to retire, so they have like a lump sum of cash.
Yeah, yeah.
And an old philosophy would be called the 4% rule. They always say if you have 4%, you could live off that for the rest of your life. But that doesn't work. And people don't know that it doesn't work, but you have 80% of financial advisors telling people things that are just blatantly are not true. And because it's just, at the end of the day, it's a math equation on what your life's going to look like. Because there's things that will occur. And if you don't address every issue along the way, you end up giving your money away, A, to the federal government, and B, running out of money. And that's like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So if I know people who are in this space, I say, talk to Phil.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Patrick, what type are you in Ireland?
I think so. Yeah, it's raining here. I'm definitely in Ireland.
Are you on the east side or the west side?
The west side, the west side, the west side. The
So what
Atlantic.
county are you in?
If you kept going, the first place you'd land is Boston. If you went in a straight line.
So what county are you in?
In county, I'm in Galway. Galway.
My wife's relatives are from that area.
Wow. God.
Yep.
Tell them St. Patrick was asking for them. Look at her.
Yeah, well, they were late arrivals in the United States, so she actually
Yeah.
has second and first cousins that live in that area.
Oh wow! Thanks, Phil. Thanks.
We're gonna go visit, but I don't know if I have the right clothes, because anything below 70 degrees to me is cold.
It's freezing. Yeah. Even after spending your football years up in Utah, huh?
It's a dry cold.
Yeah.
As opposed to a humid cold.
Yeah.
Dampness will eat you. It will eat timber, it will eat metal, and it will eat people.
Yep.
In Utah, the air is so dry that when you make snowballs, they don't stay together. It's like sand, crystalline.
That's why it makes it such good snow for
light
powder.
It's like the best place to ski is in Utah.
Light powder. Well, Patrick, my kids think it's funny that I'm a direct descendant from the Esquire of Dingle.
Yes, you are, and you should feel proud of that, Breck. You should.
They're like, you have somebody, a relative that was in Dingle? I said, yep, that's the area.
So you're also a West Sider.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, big football team down in Kerry. Anyway, look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't yet, please put your details up in the chat so that we have those. Most of us know each other, but we'll make sure that you have each other's contact information. We'll go ahead and get started. We had next week we will have our presentation from Richard, and so looking forward to that. And we're doing a big email push campaign to get more and more people here. This group, is I send out a newsletter to over 150 people. So the group is getting larger. We just know schedules are busy, so not everyone can be here each week. So do appreciate you taking time to meet with us. Pretty eclectic group of doctors, lawyers, some scientists that are here, PhDs, and certainly I've got a bunch of PharmDs that participate whenever they can. They're not too busy counting pills and making sure people aren't taking medications that will kill you or have drug interactions. Tons of entrepreneurs and business leaders that are part of this network. So appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. Kind of live by the principle here that I learned a long time ago when I was doing sales, and my owner of the company gave me these tapes to listen to, and they were by Zig Ziglar. And I love that guy. It was so energetic, and it was kind of like a Baptist preacher telling you sales principles is kind of what he reminded me of. But his one principle that stuck with me for 40 years is you'll get everything you want out of life if you help other people get what they want. And more recently, Tony Robbins talks about the secret to living is giving. And so that's really kind of the principles behind this group. Is we're the mastermind group, but we're a mastermind referral group. We want to be able to give each other leads and referrals whenever we can. And the more we know about each other, then it's easier to say, hey, I know a guy that can do that. And so appreciate you being here. We don't have a formal presenter today scheduling up for the next few weeks. So have openings if you would like to present to the group. I would love to have you present. We have, like I said, Richard next week. We also need to schedule in another time to do another posting party. LinkedIn posting party is always fun because if you're making regular social media posts, you'll get the regular amount of impressions or views on your content. And when you do it in a posting party setting, then you can 10x that number of impressions. So usually if I'm seeing a couple of hundred impressions on my posts on LinkedIn after a posting party, it's usually a couple thousand impressions, which is good. So and then if you have any specific health related item that you would like to get out to patient population, I do have a patient population of over 100,000 that follow content that I put out, and so happy to include whatever your services or solutions are for the patient level individual, and include that in social media posts as well. So I appreciate everybody being here. Let's go around the horn and make some introductions and tell us who you are, what you do, and how we can best help you, either connect you with the leads that you're looking for or help in other ways too. So I know my big push right now is I'm actually looking for a co-founder. So my ask is not that I'm needing a specific lead, but I actually need an operator, somebody that can run the day-to-day operations of a project that I'm working on right now. So keep that in mind. What it is that you do, who you are, what you do, and how we can best help you. And I always like to go ladies first. So Cheryl, if you would like to go first, appreciate it.
Reminds me of Scouts. I was usually the only woman there. Anyway, did you know that you are leaving money on the table? Are you aware that you can have an account to put money into, or you can borrow against? Are you protected? We helped a family go on a family vacation even after their husband died. They had protection in place so that they were covered. They were able to go ahead and do that activity they've been looking forward to. Book a time with me and we'll look at your portfolio. It's worth a look. Thanks so much.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. Patrick, you're next up on my screen. Would you like to go next?
Hello, everybody. It's so great to be here. I didn't think I'd make it, but I am. I'm here in person, and I've been thinking during the week. What is really going on around me, and there's a lot of talk about who's unwell and who's not doing well, and it can be about health, or it can be about their finances or whatever. And I'd love them all. I'd love them all to come on here and hear this wonderful advice. This wonderful advice. I'm echoing, and so I'm echoing, and can you try somebody else, or
Bob, I think you're echoing.
I'm echoing with Bob. I'm echoing with Bob. So maybe can you try somebody?
Yeah. So, hey, Bob,
if Bob I'm echoing with, would that be?
So
Can you mute?
just mute everybody unless you're speaking. Or I'll mute you for you.
Right. So very interesting conversations going on with some friends of mine. Thank you for that. It's much better. And it's about money, it's about health, it's about well-being. And I'm posing the question to them, you know, have you noticed why younger people are healthier than older people? And they're saying to me, well, you know, this is normal, you know. I said, no, it's not. I said, it's common, but it's not normal. And of course, a bit of a scratchy debate starts. And they said, well, what do you expect? How can you reverse this? Or how can you, what do you mean? And they don't understand. But it is now possible to enable our bodies to behave like they did when we were much younger. And this is possible because when we were younger, our bodies were producing a vast amount of quality healing instructions, enabling us to follow the rules that create health. But now it's possible to do this as we get older, or whether we have health challenges or not, because we can replenish these instructions, enabling our bodies to come into a greater balance so that our cells can work as they used to when we were younger. If you'd like to know more, my details are in the chat. I'd love to have a one-on-one with anybody. And thank you all.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. Armand, why don't you go next?
Okay, it's my first time here. Nice to meet everybody.
Welcome.
All right. Well, my area is I guide individuals towards enduring well-being, and with that, you know, their desired physique that they like to have. So I do that by cultivating a holistic approach that encompasses mindset, nutrition, supplementation, exercise recovery, and hormone optimization for long-term sustained results. And so what I like to do is my mission is to help assist people facing different challenges in these areas by comprehending the effective strategies that help reduce body fat. There's a big difference between body fat and weight loss, and a lot of people don't understand that. And then enhancing their energy levels, a lot of strategies from that, restoring or increasing muscle tone, boosting confidence, which helps from all that, and then mitigating the effects of aging. There's a lot of new research, just like the other guy just mentioned, where the aging process can be slowed down. And so and I'm playing with all those different supplements as well, so that when I work with a client, I can tell them what my response would be, like the NMN and NR and these other different supplements. So basically, I'm motivated to assist people and individuals that are facing these different obstacles by developing a personalized strategy that really can enhance their lifestyle habits, which again are going to encompass nutrition, the supplementation, the exercise recovery, sleep, along with the hormone optimization. And this is just to foster lasting well-being. So I do this through a collaboration with other medical professionals that support this mission. So I have different medical groups I work with so that we have an exacting protocol that can be corrected as you adapt to the changes, and that initiates substantial blood work to analyze where the person's at. So that's my quick response. Hopefully that helps.
No, that's excellent. What part of the world are you in?
Well, I'm in Inverness, Florida, which is north of Tampa by about an hour and something. So,
okay, yeah. Well, welcome to the group. It's great to have you.
Appreciate the invite.
All right, Phil, you're next up on my screen.
This is in Kerry, Ireland.
Yep.
So there you go, Patrick. But I'm Phil Sealand with Pacific Advisors. I help people plan for financial security, specifically in either wealth accumulation strategies and, which is the most important, is wealth distribution strategies. If people don't have a strategy on how to spend their wealth when they get to the point when they want to retire, they're not going to live happily ever after. They're going to have worry and stress and worry about market changes all the time. But there's ways to remedy that just by having the correct strategy in place. And I help people make sure that strategy is working for them. And my contact information's in there, Phil Singleton with Pacific Advisors.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. Richard, why don't you go next?
I'm Richard Terrell. I'm the CEO of Incentive Advisors. What we do is we give money to business. Focus on the small to mid-sized business market. And what we do is we work with the government. It has incentives and credits, and structuring the to take advantage of the tax laws that are available out there for them. We have a program which I'll be talking about in detail week, which is the tax strategy analysis program, which typically a business owner, we are able to reduce shareholder there. We are able to reduce their 40%. Then there are other programs like R&D tax credits, 125 credits, which also go to the bottom line of either the corporation or. So that's what I do. Thanks for being on this group, by the way. I enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you. Bill Hess, it's been a while. How are you, my friend? Why don't you go next?
Well, Breck, yes, if I remember correctly, didn't we meet on Lunch Club maybe the best part of a year ago?
I think so. Yeah.
And for me to remember that detail from a year ago is my brain is functioning. A lot of the people on this call are in either the financial advisory space or the medical space. With great respect, I'm in neither, other than, if you need a new body, I can provide them, because what I do is I provide IT, finance, and accounting people across the United States. I'm very new at this. I've only been doing it for a little bit over 3 decades, and I still have an incredible passion for doing it. I'm based in the greater Phoenix, Arizona area. And again, IT, finance, and accounting, anything in the IT space, the finance people, CFOs, whether it's full-time, contract, or even fractional. If somebody's doing a acquisition and they need somebody to come in and do due diligence on the acquisition target, we're the folks to reach out to. Thanks, Breck.
Awesome. Thanks. Good to see you again. All right, Jeff Ward, my friend, why don't you go next?
Hey, well, thanks, Breck. Appreciate it. And yeah, we're just busy these days fixing the broken healthcare system. I love the fact that people are interested in reversing age or slowing down age and that kind of thing. I'm all into telomeres and cell regeneration and autophagy. Judy and I, so I'd love to meet with Armand at some point and speak. And I've already had a great meeting with Patrick O'Flynn. I love the guy's accent. I wish I had that accent all the time. I need to work on it. But I love talking to Patrick. I can listen to Patrick talk all day. But Judy and I, my wife and I, 46 years on November 5th this year, we've been married, and which is a kind of amazing thing. And I'm going to be, I can't believe it, in 1 week, I'll be 70. I don't believe I'm going to be 70, but I feel better today than I did 30, 40 years ago. And we've just used principles that many of them have been newly discovered about reversing cell age and renewing cells and getting rid of damaged cells and increasing telomere thickness and length. We go on to the scientific stuff. I'm not a scientist, but I can tell you that 10 years ago, my wife and I weighed 200 pounds more than we do today. And I was taking 8 prescription drugs. By the way, that's the average in the United States, 8 prescription drugs per individual. That's insane. That is insane. And so Judy was on 3. And when we decided to take control and advocate for ourselves and take control of our life, we reversed all that. We got rid of all of our drugs, all of our chronic diseases, all the ailments went away. They all went away. Some of them were lifetime. Okay, but we just had to get the nutrition part right and had to start moving a little bit. You don't have to go crazy, but just move a little bit, eat right. It's amazing how the diseases will start to fall away. It's crazy. Matter of fact, I know this has got nothing to do. I don't make money off of this, and I don't have any. I say get this book. I held it up last week because Patrick O'Flynn talked about it a bit, and get this book. Lies My Doctor Told Me. Most doctors don't lie on purpose. Well, they do, but they just don't realize they're telling what they've been trained to tell people. And it's, we're just caught up in the doctors, the pharmacists, the farmers are caught up in industries which are teaching them certain things which are just not true. And people are sick for that reason. They believe the lies, basically. So anyway, we're fixing healthcare. If you know people that would like to get better healthcare, not only that works better, feels better, and costs 70% less than traditional insurance, then I'm your guy. Talk to me. If you love your health insurance plan and you like paying what you're paying for it, and you think you get exactly what you want from it, don't call me because you're living in heaven. But most people aren't. Most people, healthcare is broken for them. We can fix it for you. We can fix it for anybody. Thanks, Breck. I kind of went off on a tirade, a little bit of preaching, a little bit of personal bio, but I just was kind of in a mood, I guess, to do that. So,
no,
thanks.
love it. You're singing to the choir with me anyway. So appreciate it. And you're absolutely the type of patient the big pharma hates. You've figured out how not to need them any longer. So that's good. You're on mute, my friend.
Yes, you're exactly right, Breck. Breaking free of the thought control that these industries have on people, it's very difficult because there's a lot of pressure. That's how they make all their money.
Yep.
And the whole thing, follow the money. You can see where it goes. And they have a vested interest in trying to convince us to live long, sick lives. So we take lots of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Hey, Paul, Professor Paul, you're up next.
Trying to slide over to the unmute button. It's funny how some Zoom calls have extra reverb and all that. So I remember that from radio days. I had a couple of radio shows in the past, and then we also had a TV show that I hosted for, can't believe this, excuse me, 4.5 years. And it was an hour-long show. We interviewed some very high-powered people. And I may as well mention this because it's very appropriate in today's world. Because on that show, I got to interview someone, the third most powerful person in the world, in the planet. That title goes to the Speaker of the House. That title goes to the Speaker of the House. Thank you, Bob. The person that held that title, Nancy Pelosi, the first time. So very appropriate. We had a great interview. Afterwards, she says, Paul, I'm never going to forget this interview. And it was fun to do because I got to meet a whole bunch of great people. And, the bottom line is, a number of those folks are really there to try to help. But there's just so much stuff that gets thrown at you. And, and when we apply it to today's social media event where we just get stuff thrown at us. And how do we separate? How do we distinguish? And that's part of the Google business page that I set up. Because look, Google is where we all go. And Google wants you to be active. So when we create that page, it's not a parking lot. You need to post to it. You need to post your deals, your offers, your experiences. Post a video. You know what you should have posted this morning is that you're going to this event called Breck's Mastermind. That it's from 10 to 11. Here's the link. Come join us. And that way it spreads news about this wonderful group. So it's that, and the main thing is you don't always need to pitch. You don't always need to talk about my $49.95 special that I have going every time, and it gets you all this great stuff. You know, you got to come get it. And so that's the part that I get. Those prompts can be helped created because I show you how to use ChatGPT, and I show you how to use Midjourney, because here's the last thing. You need to, anytime you post, no matter what, it needs a graphic. Okay, it doesn't matter what that graphic is. It can be a picture of a cheesecake. It can be a picture of a cactus. It can be a picture of something that people are going to go, oh, that looks nice. That looks delicious. Oh, wow. And then they're going to read your 7-8 lines of stuff. But without that, they're just going to add it to the stuff that's below it, because the next 7 posts have 0 graphics. Let Midjourney help you, and you can really tell Midjourney what you want in the image and how to make it. So I'm almost saying every Tuesday. So I've opened up a new Facebook group. A number of you are already members. I've put that into the chat. I've been a little under the weather with some teeth issues. That I tell you what, all this health stuff and everything. Somebody needs to solve the problems of dentistry and dental insurance and dental coverage and all this, because this $100 repayment for a $1,500 root canal, gee, thanks, that helps a lot. So yeah, once you are in the dental issue world, your world gets upside down, and it's been like that for 3 days. Anyway, I will be posting some prompts into that group, and just copy and paste them into ChatGPT and enjoy the ride, because you will get it, because it'll start asking you questions and it'll start giving you answers. And next thing you know, you have a game plan for your next project, or you have your next 5 emails for your email campaign. And again, don't forget a graphic for each one of those emails. All right.
Thanks, Professor Paul. And absolutely, I get a blog from a physician who talks about, you know, hospital administration and the costs associated there, and what's broken on that side, on the hospital side, with costs. And his graphic for his newsletter has absolutely nothing to do with the blog. It's usually just a scene, an eye-catching scene, and sometimes it's animals, sometimes it's just mountains, sometimes it's just totally doesn't, like I said, has nothing to do, but it's eye-catching, and it's pretty interesting that he goes about that way. Richard could probably help you out with some good suggestions on dental. I think there's a bunch of practices right there in Tijuana that that do dentistry for a fraction of the cost of what it costs here in the United States. Yeah. So, Damar, you're up next on my screen. One of our resident pharmacists.
I was just to comment. Yeah, it's a big industry down here. Yeah, a few minutes from the border on there that has all of that. All kinds of different programs there. So yeah, and I've got a lot of friends that were using it when I was up down here, when I was up in the United States and in Southern California.
Yep, might be worth the trip.
Yeah. My name is Damar. I'm a business coach. I focus on small businesses. I focus specifically on pharmacy business owners, but what works for pharmacy business owners works for all small businesses. That my ideal client has less than 20 employees. They're generating somewhere between $500,000 to 10 million in annual revenues. And what I help them do is get money to the bottom line so that they can deal with the cash gap. If you've heard Breck talk about ServeRx or the Fountain of Youth, pharmacies right now are getting killed with fees, and they're controlled by the big PBMs and insurance companies, and the big box pharmacies that pretty much own that industry. And they're, I can get Jeff back on this soapbox to tell you what their take on it is. But the bottom line is that healthcare is really about symptom management as opposed to health. And so the pharmacy's kind of stuck in the middle. And so what my goal is to help the pharmacy make decisions on a more profitable business model, whereby they become the health hub where people come to get answers. And so from that standpoint, and there's a multitude of things, there's about 21 different things that I look at to help them get to profitability. Because if we don't, we're going to lose, we're going to lose out, and it'll be, healthcare will be only for the very poor and the very rich. And I'd like to see that model change.
Yep, absolutely. Excellent point. Damar, how many years did you actually work behind the bench? How actually as a pharmacist before getting into job coaching? Are they?
I graduated from pharmacy school in 1982. So, and I did a postgraduate residency back in Michigan. And so from that standpoint, and I've been practicing. So what is that? 42 years, 41 years. Yeah. And done many different practices, and but got involved with clinical services. I've set up anti-coag clinics. I've done a lot of different things. So from that standpoint, I'm used to kind of stepping outside of the traditional pharmacist role, where we lick them and stick them is the word we used to use.
Yeah.
And now it's fill and bill. But yeah, no, that's to answer your question, 41 years.
Yeah. I wanted to make that point that you're not, like, I always find it hilarious that I see somebody, posting on social media that they're a life coach, and you can tell that they are like 20, yeah. And they're going to be a life coach to me, right? And so, here you've been doing this for 40 plus years, and have seen a thing or two, and you've seen how things have changed. And that's one of the points that I make when working with all of our community pharmacies, is that 20 years ago, it was okay to fill and bill, right? Because the profit margin on a script was around 35, 36%. You can survive on those margins. But today, at 3 to 5% profit margin, it's pretty hard to stay in business just dispensing meds. You've got to start becoming more of that health hub that Damar and I always talk about. And this last contract for the Department of Labor is that, Optum took that over. And of course, Optum only makes $136 billion a year just off of their PBM side. And how do they make that? Getting the pharmacies to only take a couple of dollars here and there for prescriptions. So their price now on all of the federal programs for federal employees is minus 88% of the average wholesale cost of the drug. So their break even at a pharmacy is probably minus 70. And so you're looking at, having to dispense the medication below your acquisition cost of the medication. The wholesaler sells the pharmacy the meds in bulk, and their break even somewhere around, minus 75, minus 70, minus 75. But now they're being asked to take Department of Labor for minus 88%. Yeah, it's horrible. It's hard to stay in business.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It was posted in LinkedIn 2 days ago. Prescription for a diabetes medicine. It was $150 was the cost. The insurance company only paid $112. And so that meant the pharmacy had to eat it, and just to service the patient. And it would be one thing if we were talking about, testosterone injections, which is a lifestyle drug, or, it was, Viagra or something along that lines. Then you could say, yeah, that makes sense, but this is for the number one disease, that chronic disease, and they're telling the pharmacy that they have to do that. So you fill 10 of those prescriptions and you've made no money for the day.
Yeah.
And you can't even pay your employees. So yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I used to, I talked to a pharmacist owns a pharmacy in Atlanta, really busy pharmacy because they're right inside of a medical plaza. They've only been open for 2 years. Their patient population has doubled. So from the first year to the second year, they have twice as much work. They're filling twice as many scripts, and they are making no money. They're doing more work, but they're making no money, and it's because of that reimbursement level where it's at. Hey, does everybody see the QR code that's on the 3 of the screens here? So Damar has one. I've got mine, and I'm going to pin you if that's okay. All right, let me pin you. So if you ever want to scan that and it's too small to scan the QR code, just simply go up to that person's box and pin them, and then you can actually go in with your camera and get that QR code. And that's the easiest way to do that, is just to make it larger. Really good idea to do that on your background too, so that it's real easy for us all to connect. And so if you would want help putting together a background that has your QR code, I'm happy to help with that, and make sure that you'll have that capability of doing the same thing. So it's just really easy to, when you're on a lot of these networking groups, to just have your QR code there presented like that. So let me know if you want help in putting one together for you. Be happy to do that. Most of you know that I'm in healthcare, been in healthcare not quite as long as Damar, only 20 years, working with pharmacies all over the country. When we talk about these big PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers, and how massive they've gotten and how much revenue that they're generating from basically driving up cost of medication, so patients are having to pay more, and driving down reimbursements for the pharmacy who is dispensing it. It's how they've made their billions and billions of dollars. And I was with a third-party claims processor back when I first started in 2003 that had every pharmacy in the country use them to outsource all their third-party claims processing, because it's just busy work that they don't have time to do. They can't pick up the phone and call every employer to verify eligibility, and so they could just outsource that to a third party. And Optum RX, the big PBM owned by United Healthcare, saw, wow, we could funnel all of that claims data into our networks and make just millions and millions of dollars. And so that's exactly what they did. They bought the program. Well, I'd spent to that point, when that company got acquired, I'd spent over 12 years building relationships with all of these community pharmacies across the country. And so to me, that would have been like going to the dark side, right? To be part of, stay on with Optum. And I knew that wouldn't sit well with a lot of my friends in the industry. And so I left the company, and 3 days later, I get a knock on my door, and there's a sheriff deputy standing there. He had a packet of information for me. Optum filed a TRO, a temporary restraining order, against me, so that it's basically a gag order. They didn't want me to go out and tell the industry, hey, remember those $70, $80 reimbursements you used to get from my company, the third party processor? Well, those are now going to be, $3 or $4. So instead of getting 80, you're going to get $4 now. And so that was their gag order to hush me up, so that they could make those billions of dollars. When you look at the system, United Healthcare owns that system, right? They have over 35 million people that are paying into that healthcare system. So that's the premiums are paid into it from the company and from the employee side. But yet 75% of their profit margin comes from the PBM. Look at another healthcare system, CVS Health. They have 10,000 retail locations. And just because you're hearing about all these closures on the chain, don't believe it. It says that they're just redirecting into their other health systems. They're not closing pharmacies. They may be pulling out of one area in San Francisco, but they're not actually in any kind of dire straits in closing stores. But look at the 10,000 locations that they have, and they're selling anything and everything. You can buy makeup there, hair products, chips and toilet paper and anything. And they also dispense medication. But yet 80% of their profit comes from a little PBM up in Scottsdale, Arizona, that used to be called Caremark, which is now CVS Health. That's where 80% of their revenue comes from. It's not from owning 10,000 retail locations. In fact, so much revenue is generated from that PBM, that pharmacy benefit manager, that gave them the capital to acquire Aetna, the insurance company. It's usually the other way around. The insurance company is acquiring the PBM. Now, this time the PBM acquired the insurance company. So it's a little bit of a broken system. I love everybody that's trying to do something different. I love those that are trying to get people to be more focused on wellness rather than taking a medication. And guess what? Patients are interested in that. I was a little skeptical, because I thought we had this microwave society of individuals that just wanted a quick fix, right? Pop a pill, feel better. Oh, I've got this ache or pain, I'll just take a pill for it. Well, I think since the pandemic and the whole debacle with the vaccinations, that patients are a little more skeptical of big pharma, and they're not as just automatically trusting. And proof of that is the little social media campaign that I launched to talk about some of the side effects of commonly prescribed medications, and that there might be some natural solutions to taking care of whatever that issue is. Well, there's over 100,000 patients that follow that content now, 114,000 now, and it's I get about 1 million views every 28 days. I get 1 million views on the content. So that's going out to that many patients. Phil.
Yeah, you were mentioning about the margins that some of these pharmacists are dealing with. If you have some pharmacies that have large cash flow and they're just thinking, well, what could I do for deduction? The 2023 tax deduction for a 12 plan this year is, I think, around $428,000. So that's a lot if people have that kind of flow, instead of just, putting in their mind, okay, I'm just going to pay the tax and give it to the government. Deferring that kind of money can be significant if it's done the right way at the right time. So those things are available, and just what I've found, most people just are unaware of those types of plans that are out there.
Yep.
So
Yep. And the Fed is counting on that, right? That not everyone's aware of it, so they
Yeah,
can.
ignorance costs you money. This is
Yeah.
that's the way it is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that comment, Phil.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to step down off of my soapbox, turn some time over to Bob for the last word here. You know, if you have not done a podcast interview with Bob, not only is it a lot of fun, but it's just really good content to be able to put out to your social media channels. Use it in any way that for marketing. You know, mycity.com, Bob's company, is also another platform that you can have your profile and your information posted. It's another searchable, Google searchable. When people are looking for you and your services, they can find that through mycity.com. The other thing that Bob helps with is he's got this really cool widget that's a referral engine that you plug in who you're looking for, what the vocation of those individuals, and it starts to make those matches and helps get you connected with the people that you're looking to be connected with. One last thing for me, I'll just post in the chat there. I mentioned earlier I'm looking for a co-founder because I don't have enough hours in the day to do the wellness center, just called the Fountain of Youth. Love that name, the Fountain of Youth. I think it's very appropriate for what we're trying to do there. But yeah, looking for a co-founder, an operator, a day-to-day operator. But the other way you can support me too is I just put a link in the chat there to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that. Doesn't quite have the followership that I have on my other social media platforms, but it's a good way of getting information out to individual patients. And so that's why I'm trying to grow that. So please subscribe if you haven't yet. Bob, the final word.
I just did a post today that data is the new oil. And you can't do one thing anymore. You have to do everything. So it's whether you call them, text them, email them, use social media, you have to take it from everywhere that you possibly can. And the reason for that is that when people finally decide they have a need, if they don't remember you, they will go to the first person they do remember. So getting out there, doing posting, all that stuff, you can see on LinkedIn how much posting has increased, and LinkedIn is, you know, they're tightening the ship in many respects. So you've gotta be out there doing it. AI certainly is, Paul, to your credit, is having a huge impact on things. I tried doing a ChatGPT post to see if I could generate some new ideas in a different format. And you know what? I think I need to talk to Paul. You're muted. Can't hear you. Breck, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. What's so cool about the using AI to help you generate posts or even responses or just comments in other people's posts is it'll find the appropriate emojis and things that you should be using, but I never think about that. But chat does, and it tells you what the correct hashtags are to use for that particular platform or the emojis for that particular platform.
Love it. It's good stuff.
So one other comment that I'll make about mycity.com is, as I do have Bob and then his team, Marie's on as well, help with outreach on my LinkedIn. And I've grown that by about 4,000 connections now by utilizing Bob's team. So, you know, I was around 8,000 connections, I think, and we're up over 12,000 now. So really appreciate the work that his team has done. So if you're looking at trying to expand and get more reach on LinkedIn, please do a one-on-one with Bob.
Love it. Thank
All
you.
right. Any other final comment?
Yeah, I'd like to finish with a funny note, right? You take a guy like DeMar with 40 odd years experience. In Ireland, we'd say tomorrow, when you get the hang of that pharmacy stuff, you're going to be unbelievable.
Exactly. Exactly. You're almost there. You're almost there. Well, yeah, appreciate everybody being here today. Please get the word out, invite people for next week. Anyone, any small business owner that you know should definitely join next week. Some really good solutions for tax incentives to help you keep more of what little bit you're able to bring in as a small business owner. So I look forward to seeing you all next week. And
one final comment.
Yep.
So if you didn't post your information to the chat room, you should, because Marie, who is the photo of mycity.com, she takes all of that information and she will email you, but if you don't put an email address in there, it won't necessarily get there. Putting a phone number in there is always helpful. So, you know, add your data.
Yep, absolutely. And like you said, if your email's there, you'll get the chat. Otherwise, you can just simply click on the three little dots and save the chat. So when you're in the chat, have it open. At the very bottom, you'll see the little emoji symbol, and then right next to that, the more is the three little dots. Click on those three dots, save the chat, and then you'll have everyone's information. Armand, I also sent you my Calendly link. I'd love to do a one-on-one, hear more about what you do. I think your group would absolutely, I'd be able to direct some clients your way. Out of the 100,000 or so or whatever, there's about 3,500 of them that I funnel into other providers. And so I'd love to chat with you more about that.
Got it on the calendar already.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your week and weekend, and invite some folks for next week so we can grow this group. All right. Take care,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye now.
Thanks, Breck, Bob, everybody. Great to meet everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.